did. It worked. Nice intro, bro.
Hey, thanks.
How we doing, guys? My name is Ryan Mosser. That is one of my best friends, David Cahoon. This is the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. Come on in, take a seat, and let's talk some fantasy football. Welcome back to Season 2, Week 2 of our off-season grind. Last week, we kicked things off with the first wave of quarterbacks in the 2026 class. In the response from everyone was incredible. The show is growing, the community is growing, and the energy around this draft cycle is, already on another level. Today we're keeping that momentum rolling, as we continue building out the most, detailed, structured quarterback evaluations anywhere in fantasy football podcasting. Before I begin, I just want to state that we are brought to you by the Inside Edge Network at Inside Edge Net. Also, Alley Rose Fragrances, our network sponsor for the Inside Edge Network is Alley Rose Fragrances. Discover Alley Rose collection of handcrafted candles and body mist made with clean, minimal ingredients. Every product is thoughtfully created created in small batches. Excuse me, I can't read. Free from harmful toxins for mindful everyday indulgence. Head over to AlleyRoseFragrances.com right now to order and use special promo code InsideEdge20 to receive a special discount. We are also brought to you by Monster Moments Photography. They're a husband and wife wedding photography team based in Cleveland who specialize in providing the best wedding photos in Northeast Ohio. Check out their website at monstermomentsphotography.com, MOSSOR, momentsphotography.com. Dave, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. It is a Thursday. February's almost over. It's my least favorite month of the year.
Combine started.
Combine is here. Things are looking up. How about you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I've been busy hopping on random shows here and there on top of the 3 shows I'm doing every week. So it's a lot of fun.
You did a mock first round draft with some people. That was cool.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Matt over there at the fantasy football database.
It was a long name.
The mock draft database. Factory mock drafts. That's what it is. I'm so sorry. I have a newborn baby. You keep using this excuse, but I'm allowed to.
You got another few months in there.
Nonetheless, it was a lot of fun over there. Those guys are awesome. Good content. We we broke down some Browns offseason stuff, and then we did a mock draft where I got to pick the Browns picks. It just ended up that way. It was a lot of fun. So I ended up taking Caleb Downs at 6 for the Browns. Whoa!
Oh, yeah.
And then Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle out of Georgia, at 24. And it was
we'll talk more about those prospects. Maybe not so much Caleb Downs, but tackles for sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love both of those prospects. Caleb Downs is honestly might even be the best overall football player in this draft.
I agree, he is.
You talk about like blue chip players. He's one of only a handful that are in this draft. This draft is not really good for blue chip players, and so if one falls to 6, you got to consider it if you're the Browns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though they have so many holes on offense, you got to consider it. He's just that good. So.
Yeah. And they're a year or two, more than a year away from contending anyway. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Build the pieces that are going to last forever.
Yeah, and Freeling is just an athletic freak of a tackle, and I like the way he pulls and pins and run games. He looks really, really good, and he's so young and still a little bit raw too. So
yeah,
I would be excited to get him.
Yeah, I think his run game is the thing that needs cleaned up a little bit the most. But he's big, large. He's got great footwork, pretty fast for his size, and is just an anchor when he sets his feet. So I like him a lot. Yeah, his run game I think is less desirable, but I think it is definitely coachable. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with the measurables for him specifically at the combine. So, all
right, but these people don't care about offensive tackles and safeties. They care about what we're going to talk about today, which is quarterbacks. You want to break down what we did last week, Dave?
Yeah, of course. So last week we pretty much kicked off season 2, which is a really, really exciting time for us here. We talked through what our off-season program is going to look like. So we talked through hitting up all of the really important fantasy football, I guess, positions as we head into the draft. So over the next 8 to 9 weeks, I think 8 weeks now, we're going to talk through all the quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. We're going to go into depth in a lot of those players and a lot of those positions, specifically wide receiver, running back, because those are just the heaviest for fantasy football. And so we kind of just laid out our whole plan and what will that look like after the draft. What are some good landing spots from the draft? What are some good free agency shakeups, new coaching changes, all that jazz to help you be prepared as you can as you head into the draft season and off season in the summer. And then after that, we kind of hit our first batch of quarterbacks that we talked about. So a lot of those top heavy ones. So Fernando Mendoza, Garrett Nussmeier, a couple other guys. I'm blanking on the names, but
we talked about Drew. Nope, we did not talk about Drew Aller. Excuse me.
no, he's this week.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, but today we're gonna wrap up the quarterbacks and talk through part 2. So we have another 6, maybe 7. We're feeling lucky. Quarterbacks to talk about. Just kind of do an in-depth look at what they look like, what kind of style they have, what their strengths, their weaknesses, and categories. Do a little summary, and then I'll do a little player comp, who I think this player kind of reminds me of, and landing spots. So we'll try and hit that for each position in each player that we talk through throughout the next couple of weeks. But it's going to be really fun. I'm very excited about it. I know you are too. So yeah.
As David said, last week we kicked off season 2, laying out the foundation, for everything we're going to do this offseason, and that's great. We went over the quarterbacks, as he said. We did Mendoza, we did Carson Beck, Ty Simpson, Taylor Green, Garrett Nussmeier, and Cole Payton were the guys that we did last week.
That's right, Cole Payton.
Yeah. Each one brought something different to the table, and if you missed that episode, I highly recommend going back and giving it a listen. You can find it on @DynastyCLE's Twitter. I can't talk today. Also on our Facebook page for the Commissioner's Couch. We are working on getting on Spotify and stuff as well. We do have YouTube though. But we're working on Spotify and Apple. We should get that up here hopefully soon. But nonetheless, definitely go check that out. It sets the tone for how we evaluate, how we grade, and how we separate real traits from noise. But before we dive into this week's group of quarterbacks, I wanted to give a quick reminder of how my evaluation system works. I've been talking about it for weeks on my podcast that, I've been building a 2026 NFL draft rookie prospect model, basically an algorithm that is based off of, all the traits that I think are NFL translatable traits for that position. I use for this one specifically, I use a quarterback rubric and then I do my own personal scoring and then rank them based off of that with an algorithm. It's designed to project NFL potential, not project, NFL draft buzz. I'm not going to give away my score or anything like that, but the framework is simple. I grade how a quarterback processes the field, how accurate they place the football, how their arm talent holds up against NFL demands, how they operate in the pocket, how they create their own create when structure breaks down in the pocket, and how their measurables and athletics traits translate into the league today. Every category also has subcategories, which you go into as well. And every trait is weighted based off of what actually, matters on Sundays. Because of that, my board isn't necessarily a mock draft. It's not influenced by hype, recruiting stars, and popularity. I'm grading the quarterback position, not the resume attached to the player. And that means that my rankings will sometimes look, pretty different from what you see on big media boards. And I think, that's the point. The beauty about this quarterback class in general is that, and the reason that we're dictating, multiple weeks to it too, 2 weeks in a row for the quarterback class for a lot of people who don't think the quarterback class is that strong of a class, it's depth. This isn't a group defined on, one or two headliners. It's a class full of, different styles, different developmental arcs, different ways for guys to win. Some of the quarterbacks we're covering tonight are high-ceiling athletes who can change the geometry of the field. Some are structure-driven processors who thrive on timing and discipline. Some are, still figuring out who they are as a passer. But the flashes are bright enough that you can see a path to real NFL development. What ties them all together is, every one of these quarterbacks has something worth evaluating, something that matters for dynasty players, something that matters for NFL teams, and something that matters, for how this 2026 class is going to ultimately stack up, I think. So let's get into it, Dave. Let's, settle in, grab a drink, guys, get comfortable. Week 2, 2026 quarterback class starts now. Let's do it.
Yeah. I love what you said about this draft class as a whole for quarterback, though. I heard somebody else describe it earlier when I was listening to some podcast about the combine today, and they were like, this quarterback draft class only has 1 to maybe 3 day one starters in it, and everybody else though is could be considered hey, this guy has a path to become a lifelong backup quarterback or develop into a potential starter for a long time for a team. So while it may from the onset be oh, this draft class is really nothing, especially 2 years removed from the 2024 draft class where there was a bunch of studs, there's still a lot to and a lot of really, I think, hidden gems or deep value to find that'll be long-term success. And so I think that whole word development is really important, especially when we talk about the group today of quarterbacks. I think that development is key here for a lot of them.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right. So you want to pick our first quarterback?
Let's do it. All right. Week 2 quarterbacks. Like I said, we went through 6 of them last week. These are our next 6. This is going to be the final week on quarterbacks. We're going to move on to a different position next week. We'll unveil that later. But my first quarterback on the board, Drew Aller, quarterback for Penn State. He is my quarterback 4 on my board. Where did you have him on your board, David?
I also had him at 4.
Nice. Perfect. In terms of measurables and archetype, Drew Aller brings one of the most imposing physical profiles to this class. He's 6'5", 240, 245 pounds. We'll get better measurables in the next few days at the combine. And he fits the mold of a traditional power-based pocket passer. He has very long arms and a broad frame that naturally generate leverage and velocity. That give him the ability to drive the ball into intermediate windows without needing a perfect platform, I would say. He's best suited for pro style systems in that emphasize play action, vertical concepts, structured progression reads, where size can, control temperament, it all can shine. His background came to Penn State actually from what was that, Menor, Ohio, right close.
No,
right?
he was from the west side of Ohio, if I remember correctly. Or it's maybe the south side. I want to say like the Twinsburg area, but I forget where.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, good from Ohio. We're going to sound like idiots right now because we don't know. A highly coveted recruit with expectations that match his physical gifts. His early career featured a mix of promising flashing and developmental inconsistencies, particularly in timing and accuracy. Over time, he grew into the offense, and he showed improved command, better decision making, and more disciplined approach to structure. Coaches constantly highlight his maturity, his work ethic, his willingness to operate within the framework of the system rather than relying solely on raw talent, which I think is important. His game is built around structure and control. That's his bread and butter. When he plays with a calm, steady demeanor, rarely appearing rattled, even when the pocket compresses. He excels in rhythm-based concepts where he can work through progressions, identify leverage advantages, and deliver the ball with touch and timing. Like I said, his intermediate accuracy is his strength. There's a lot of quarterbacks here that have really good intermediate accuracy. We talked about Mendoza, Carson Beck last week. He's another one of those guys as well. Particularly on digs, crossers, layered throws, that's where he's going to succeed the most. While his deep ball is functional, it relies more on trajectory and anticipation than pure arm strength, I would say. Inside the pocket, he moves with subtle efficiency. He can climb, he can slide, he can reset without losing balance. While he does it, he maintains a stable base. When he's in rhythm. However, when pressure speeds up, that's when his internal clock, his base can widen. His internal clock speeds up, and his sequencing can fall off sync, leading to inconsistent placement. His release is compact for his size, but his release point can drift when he's forced off of his spot, which can be an issue. When his mechanics are in line, though, he throws a very clean, accurate ball.
Mm-hmm.
His arm strength above average, I would say, giving him the ability to attack those intermediate windows with confidence. He can generate velocity without needing a perfect platform, and he shows natural feel for layering throws over underneath defenders. While he can adjust arm angles when necessary, he is not a natural off-platform thrower, and his deep ball is more timing-driven, like I said. His athletic profile, he is a functional mover rather than a dynamic one. As he has enough mobility to escape pressure, extend plays, and pick up yards when space opens up. But he's not a true creator outside the structure. His athleticism is best used to avoid negative plays rather than generate explosive ones. I think he projects as an NFL developmental starter with really high physical floor. His size, poise, structure-based processing give him a clear path to become a reliable professional quarterback. Continued refinement in footwork, timing, and mechanical consistency will determine how close he gets to his ceiling, I think, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. In my notes here, I have he played in the pro style all of his college career at Penn State, which is great. He has a big arm, but I don't think I would describe him as a gunslinger type,
I agree.
Like the Baker Mayfield type of gunslinger. I don't think that's him. He's very smart and knows when to get rid of it, knows when to not. I think what you said, he knows not to take a negative play, but his athleticism is not going to lead to those big explosive plays. It's just going to help him not make mistakes. And so, yeah, I agree. He there's a lot to like here. There's a lot of raw like tools to build around, and he's a really good piece of clay, I think is a good way to describe it. And I think a team that really like loves developing people and maybe already has their quarterback starter for the next couple years in place would be a great place for him. My comp for him, and this might be a little ambitious, is actually Justin Herbert. Somebody who came in out of Oregon as well, very raw, big arm, played in the pro style at Oregon. He was more of the gunslinger type, I would say, but still had those like, hey, I'm gonna like use my feet to get out of this bad play in the pocket and like not take that negative play. And I think once Justin Herbert got into the NFL, that's where you really started to see him grow and develop. And he had some good receivers around him his rookie first couple of years in the league. And so I think there's a lot to like there. I think that comparison is accurate. I think the ideal fit for him that I could see would be the Minnesota Vikings. You see how there's already a need at quarterback. There's this whole drama happening. They just fired their old GM because of it. Nobody really likes JJ McCarthy there, it seems like now. They're probably going to be in the market for the Malik Willis or any other veteran that comes available. So what would it look like if you drafted a Drew Aller, let him sit there, let him develop, maybe let him duke it out with JJ McCarthy for that QB2 spot to learn and grow and get some of those backup reps. I think it could work out well for him. He's got those weapons around him and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. They would eventually get a running back and get that run game going again. But I think that would be a really cool position for him to come in, be patient, continue to learn, continue to grow, and really refine his skills. I think that would be really cool. And getting it with a coach like Kevin O'Connell could really explode him into that Justin Herbert type of potential. So
that's interesting. Yeah, I can see him going to a few places. I think the Steelers make sense. I think Atlanta could make sense. They don't really know what they have in Penix. But yeah, I wasn't really thinking. I agree. JJ McCarthy absolutely stinks when he doesn't know what the defense is running, literally, because he cheated. Yep. He cheated his way all the way to a top 10 pick, but nonetheless, he's going to be another one of those busts. So, yeah, interesting. I could see it. Yeah, I do think that he should be developed, take a couple years. It's just interesting because if he would have came out last year, some are saying that he would have been the quarterback 2 off the board. I don't see that kind of happening this year. He's probably going to be a 3rd or 4th round pick this year, maybe even later. I wouldn't do that. I think he's got the potential. Like I said, he's like QB4 based off of his NFL traits on my board. We'll see where he falls, here in April. So,
yeah, I think an ideal value for him would be like late day 2. Yeah, they're the late 2nd round, early 3rd round. I think there could be some good value there to get with him, and honestly, a couple of these other quarterbacks too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just depends on what offense and what kind of landing spot he lands in, because there's a lot of potential there. He just needs some time to learn and grow.
All right. So I want to preface this by saying that David and I are never on the same page. We always disagree. And this is probably going to be a reflection of that as well. But that's okay. That it brings it different. David, I'm going to bring in this quarterback, and I'm going to ask you where you had him ranked compared to where I have him ranked.
Yep.
And this next quarterback is Diego Pavia, quarterback out of Vanderbilt. Where do you have him ranked on your board?
I have him ranked actually number 9 on my board.
Number 9. Respectable. I have ranked number 32 on mine. So
dead last.
No, not even dead last. There's some guys after him, but nonetheless, we'll see. I'm going to read what I saw. So, he's a Diego Pavia, obviously quarterback from Vanderbilt, a compact, energetic, dual threat quarterback whose game is built on obviously, movement, improvisation, and, competitive toughness. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds. So a tiny guy, lacks the prototypical size for quarterback in the NFL, but his twitchy athleticism and fearless play style allowed him to compensate for sure. He fits best in spread, tempo, or RPO heavy systems that incorporate QB run elements and simplified reads as well. His journey is one of the most unconventional, I would say, in the class. He rose from a junior college in New Mexico State, where he became one of the most productive and entertaining quarterbacks in the group of five. Then he transferred to Vanderbilt, and that gave him the opportunity to test his skill against an SEC defenses. While the jump exposed limitations for sure, it also highlighted his clear toughness, creativity, the ability to manufacture offenses. When production breaks down, coaches, when they talk about him, they consistently praise his leadership, his energy, and his relentless toughness, competitiveness. Think Mighty Mouse here, kind of like the Baker Mayfield mentality. He's not going to take crap for nobody. He thrives in chaos. He's at best when the structure of the play collapses, which sounds awful, which might be good for the Browns because our offensive line is trash. But he uses quick acceleration and sharp change of direction ability to escape pressure and create explosive plays. As a passer, he flashes, touch and anticipation, particularly on crossers and layer throws. Excuse me. His deep ball is functional but very inconsistent. It's does not have a lot of trajectory, but his aggressive nature fuels big play moments, but also introduces volatility, I would say, as well. In the pocket, his movement is definitely active, sometimes very soon, very overly so, I would say. He frequently drifts into pressure, escapes prematurely, relying on athleticism rather than structure. His base narrows under duress, and his sequencing becomes very, very rushed, leading to scatter shot placement. When he's balanced, he throws a clean ball, but maintaining that balance it was a challenge in college. It's going to be a challenge in the NFL, I think. His arm strength is adequate for NFL demands, I would say. It's definitely not a defining trait for Diego Babia. He wins with creativity and anticipation, and the ability to adjust his arm angles on the move. His off-platform ability is one of the strengths. Obviously, when he runs like that, you're going to be off-platform a lot when you throw. But that does allow him to deliver accurate throws from unconventional platforms, I would say. Athleticism is the foundation to his game. He accelerates quickly. He changes direction fluidly, and consistently turns broken plays into positive gains. His mobility stresses defenses horizontally and forces them to account for him on every snap. I as much as all that sounds great, I think that his mechanics are too much to overlook, especially when he becomes rushed. I think he projects as a developmental starter or high-end backup with unique competitive value. If he can stabilize his mechanics and improve his progression discipline, I think he does have a path to meaningful NFL snaps in the right system, but I think he's got a long journey there.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the shortcomings that you said. I think the reason why I have him so, maybe not so high, but higher on my board than yours.
So top 10, yeah.
For all fairness, like I didn't go through 30-something quarterbacks.
You're right.
15, 17, something like that.
Sure.
So I think for me, though, like that competitive nature that, hey, I'm going to want this than you. I'm going to find a way to, like, this play breaks down. I'm going to find a way to win. Like that I think is just so impossible to teach somebody, and it's just a natural thing that some people have. And so I think that maniac competitor in him is just something that's natural, something that gravitates people around him.
I agree.
And it's also something that
makes him a good leader too.
Coaches love. Like I think that leadership aspect is huge. And so
but Hart doesn't save you against Myles Garrett when he's going for
correct.
22.5 sacks,
Correct,
respectfully.
No, you're not wrong at all. And I think there is a long road maybe for him to become like a career starter. But as somebody that's like a, hey, backup guy, I'm going to be the number 2 here. I'm going to like really be the voice for like a quarterback that doesn't necessarily have his yet because he's still young and developing. Could be a really, really valuable piece to have on an NFL roster. And so my comp for him was actually Tim Tebow. I think he's like a smaller right-handed version of Tim Tebow. Somebody that's like, hey, lead me to the promised land. This guy's going to lead you there. I think that whole accuracy aspect of it all also hits home with Tim Tebow. Somebody who's just going to gut it out, but like maybe can't hit a slant in the middle of the field to the wide open wide receiver. And the deep ball is definitely maybe not there as well. And so I think when it comes to ideal landing spots for him to find his most success, culture is critical here. I think somewhere like the Pittsburgh Steelers could be a place where he could really thrive. There's really maybe Aaron Rodgers comes back, but there's really no clear path for who QB1 is going to be. He can definitely compete to get some of those reps and some of those looks. He may not be the starter right away, but could develop into a starter. But that culture of the Pittsburgh Steelers of, hey, we're going to out tough you. We're going to like find ways to just win. It does not have to be pretty. It does not have to be this spectacular thing, but we're going to find ways to win. I think Pavia would definitely thrive in a culture like that. And maybe the culture is going to change in Pittsburgh now that Mike Tomlin's not there. Who's to say? But I think something like that could be where like Pavia would really thrive, really rally the team around him, especially in a room full of a bunch of veterans. Like I think he could really do well there.
I think Will Howard's going to be QB1 there soon, but
I honestly think so too, and he should be. But I think a team like that would just I don't know. I feel like it could be a good landing spot for Pavia to be there, be a leader, be somebody that's more vocal.
Sure.
Yeah,
he's got to go somewhere. So, I mean, hopefully not the Browns like Dylan Gabriel was in the third round. Jesus, but whatever. All right, we're going to move on to our third quarterback prospect. This is, I like this guy. His name is Bayron Morton, quarterback out of Texas Tech. He's my quarterback 6 on my board. Do you have him ranked, David?
I had him ranked 10, right behind Pavia.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's a twitchy, aggressive quarterback with legitimate second, reaction ability and above average arm talent. He's 6'2", 210, and he fits comfortably within a modern mold of athletic rhythm plus passer. Thrives in space and tempo driven systems, and that emphasize spacing, quick answers, and vertical stress. He arrived at Texas Tech as a highly regarded recruit and developed in a system that placed heavy mental and physical demands on the quarterback position. And, he gained extensive starting experience across multiple seasons, often carrying the offense through stretches where structure broke down. His toughness, leadership, and willingness to take ownership of the offense have, earned consistent praise from his peers and coaches. Morton blends quick trigger decisiveness with a genuine playmaking ability. He diagnoses his leverage quickly, distributes the ball within rhythm pretty well, and punishes defenses when they lose integrity. His accuracy is sharp when his base is aligned, particularly on crosser speed outs, in some layers as well. Downfield, he can drop in touch throws or drive the ball into seams. Though his deep accuracy is can fluctuate when his lower body becomes rushed. He still is pretty successful in those throws with velocity. He makes fluidity inside the pocket. When he moves, he likes to climb, he slides, he can escape pretty well. His footwork is very functional as well, but I think it can become inconsistent under pressure. Oh my gosh, I am losing it, David. That leads occasionally to misses for sure. He can reset quickly after movement and keep his eyes downfield. He can maintain playmaking mindset even when the pocket shifts as well. His arm talent is clearly above average, I would say. His velocity is good. He can generate it with minimal strain and can attack tight windows with the concept that demands it. He shows the ability to vary trajectory, place the ball over underneath defenders, and into intermediate voids as well. A lot of these guys, if you can't throw intermediately, you're not going to be a quarterback in the NFL, but a lot of these guys are pretty good at it. His off-platform ability is one of the defining traits for sure. He can generate power from awkward angles. He's pretty impressive, actually. I think he's above average athlete. He moves with urgency, moves with fluidity as well. He can escape pressure, extend plays, and threaten defenses as a true scrambler. His second reaction ability is a core part of his identity as well, enabling him to turn broken plays into explosive gains pretty often. I think he projects a high-end backup with clear developmental starter upside. I think he needs to improve his discipline and his risk-reward calculus. Sometimes he likes to throw that ball into windows that he probably shouldn't throw it in. And continue his refinement of his base mechanics. And I think he has the tools to grow into a long-term NFL starter if he does that. So.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I think that quick release can sometimes get him into trouble. Gets a little bit trigger happy. I wouldn't necessarily put him in that gunslinger category just yet, but he's like right next to it. But that whole spread style, get those quick passes going, he thrives in that, playing in rhythm, playing in sync with his wide receivers. He's really, really good at that. I think a good comp for him I found was Chad Henne, quarterback for the Chiefs back in the day.
Beat the Browns in the playoffs.
He did, and I still hate him. Yeah, I think that potential you talked about of being a long-term backup, I think that's where like his career is trajected to go.
Sure.
He's going to be somebody who's not going to definitely wow you with the type of like play and improvisation that he has, but he's serviceable with his feet. He definitely is able to read a defense and hit the open guy. Will sometimes get confused with coverages and disguises and stuff. But I do think there is a serviceable backup rule for him on the right team. And so I think that Chad Henne comparison, I think, makes a lot of sense there. Ideal fit for him that I put was the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're probably going to be in the market for a new quarterback this year. I have no clue what they're going to do. I think Jacoby should probably start for them.
Should be Jacoby, yeah.
Should be, and I think they'll probably move on from Kyler. But I think the Cardinals would then look for, okay, let's bring in a young guy we can develop, potentially either be a future starter for us or just a long-term backup. And I think Baron Morton is like the perfect ideal specimen for that. You've got those good weapons around him. I got the good tight end, got some good wide receivers. We'll see what happens with Marvin Harrison Jr. But I think, someone whether he can learn behind in a Jacoby Brissett to get those quick games going and then learn how to develop into a deeper passer as well would be really, really beneficial for him in his development long term.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That's a good one. All right, we got a couple more here. We got 1, 2, 3 more. Let's get through them here. All right, for my quarterback 4 of tonight, Kevin Jennings, quarterback at SMU. He's my quarterback 7 on my board.
He was my quarterback 11.
There you go. Kevin Jennings, twitchy, dual threat quarterback, has a compact release, and he has real natural creativity as well. 6 foot, 200 pounds, definitely got to put on a little bit of weight. He lacks the prototypical size, but compensates it with athleticism, quick processing, and the ability to stress defensive horizontally, and vertically. I'm losing it. He fits, best in tempo, spread, and RPO heavy systems. He rose through the ranks at SMU as one of the most efficient and explosive quarterbacks in the ACC. His game is built on quickness, both mental and physical, and he's consistently brought, tempo, energy, and his, improvisational ability to the Mustangs offense. He's great with leadership, toughness, competitive fire. He's praised in all 3 of those as well. He thrives in a rhythm-based concept where I just almost knocked my computer down. Where the ball comes out quickly and decisively. His release is compact and efficient, allowing him to attack short and intermediate windows with timing and a lot of accuracy. His off-script ability is one of the best in this class, I would say. He's the guy who can extend plays, adjust arm angles, create explosives. When structure breaks down, he's gonna look to run. And he's gonna make some plays. He moves actively inside the pocket. He's one of those guys. He can climb. He can slide. He can reset with urgency as well. But he can drift because he's always looking to escape a little bit, which can create pressure for himself, I would say. His base narrows under duress. And he can become a little bit rushed, which can lead his placement to a little bit of inconsistencies. But when he's in rhythm, his mechanics are clean and very repeatable as well. His arm strength is functional. It's not super elite, but he can drive the ball pretty much anywhere on the field. He shows a natural feel for layering throws over underneath defenders. And, like I said, his off-platform ability is probably the best in this class. He's a legitimate running threat with real acceleration and agility. He's consistently turned broken plays into positive gains and can outrun linebackers in space. His mobility adds a dynamic element to any offense. Jennings projects as a developmental starter with real upside. His growth depends on, improved progression of discipline, a little bit of mechanical consistency, and just situational decision-making. Just can't run himself into sacks. But if he can get, he's smart enough, he's got the tools. If he can just get coached up a little bit, he could be a riser in a few years in the NFL. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. The thing that I feel like I kept coming back to when I was watching him play was it almost felt like, okay, we're just going to put the most athletic person we can at quarterback because we didn't have anybody else there. And that, I think, just describes who he is. He's just an athletic freak that I think was maybe thrusted into the quarterback position a little bit too eagerly.
Sure.
without really any sort of like, hey, this is what we're trying to build for. I do think there is a definite path for him to become a NFL starter. I think that there's a lot that you mentioned already, like the scrambler, the improvisation, the creativity, that really I think will appeal to a lot of NFL teams. His ability to just scramble out of sacks, find the open guy, and hit the big play, like it's there. It's all there. I think the coaching aspect is really, really important.
Yeah.
So for me, I compare him to a more athletic Tyler Huntley. Like Tyler Huntley is athletic, but I think that he's a little bit better at scrambling, improvising, and being creative with his feet. I think the arm talent wise is I think a little bit more similar to the Tyler Huntley, more so than like a Kyler Murray or somebody like that. He has the arm. It's maybe not the strongest arm. It's maybe not the most accurate just yet, but it's raw. It's there. It can be serviceable when called upon.
Right.
And so I think if you get him in the right system with the right coach and offensive coordinator, it could be really good. I put him down for the New York Jets as an ideal landing spot. And it might be a bad one, but I think the ability to just get some playing time, which is what he needs, just reps, in a team that just clearly has no plan at quarterback right now, could be something that would really help benefit him in the long term for his growth. And so you get him in there, you have a Garrett Wilson that he can rely on. I would be shocked if they don't draft a wide receiver this draft. And so there could be some pieces around him. Mason Taylor looks like a promising upcoming young tight end.
Maybe Breece Hall comes back if they screw him over. We don't know.
We'll see. So, but yeah, I think somewhere like that where he can compete to start right away, where there's not going to be a lot of pressure on him. Like, hey, you're the franchise guy now, go and win. Like, I think a lot of those reps would be really, really helpful for him. And so I think a place like the Jets, where they're still rebuilding, still trying to acclimate and get all those draft capital back, would be really, really beneficial for him, where he can just get the reps, learn, and grow as he plays. So I think that athleticism, too, would also blend well into that offense where they maybe don't have quite the structure set up yet and don't have the offensive line around him, where he can just use his feet and improvise and make plays.
Right. It's not bad comp there.
Thanks. Yeah, I think a little bit more athletic than Tyler Huntley, but I like the arm and ability to just read the defense, and somebody who's going to be beloved by all of his teammates too, like very similar character styles too.
There you go. All right, that was Kevin Jennings, SMU quarterback. We're going to move on to our next one. We have two more, so this is number 5. We went with Sawyer Robinson, quarterback out of Baylor. He's my quarterback 22. Where did you have him, David?
I had him at quarterback 7.
There we go. I mean, he's a rhythm-first pocket passer with clean mechanics, function, mobility as well. 6'3", 220-ish. I think he's got a solid frame and, a system-friendly skill set as well. He fits best in timing-based offenses that emphasize leverage throws, quick reads, and intermediate accuracy. He began his career at Mississippi State before transferring over to Baylor, where I think he obviously found meaningful snaps and showcased his strength as that timing-based passer. His development has been steady and incremental, marked by improvements in footwork, his decision-making, and his pocket command as well. He's praised for his preparation habits, his willingness to operate within the structure as well. I think Robertson wins with anticipation and rhythm. He understands where the ball needs to go within the concept and delivers it with conviction. Especially in those intermediate areas. I'm going to keep talking about this, but it's always the intermediate area. His accuracy stands out, definitely on timing routes, on crossers, his layered throws. His deep ball is decent. It's timing based rather than power driven. He moves inside, he moves the pocket efficiently. He's one of the guys who's aware he can climb, he can slide. His base is stable, and his sequences is consistent as well. And his release is also compact. Under pressure, he can rush his mechanics quite a bit. He drifts his throws, but overall, I think his foundation is pretty strong. His arm strength is adequate for NFL demands, I would say. He can drive the ball pretty much everywhere. He can layer them. Those throws are effective as well, but he's definitely not a natural power thrower. It's based off of timing and raw placement rather than raw velocity. He offers enough ability to escape pressure and extend plays when necessary. He's not a dual threat quarterback in no means, but he's functional when he needs to be, when moving out of the pocket, and system friendly, allowing him to avoid negative plays without relying on a lot of improvisation as well. I think he projects as a developmental starter with a high floor. His accuracy, processing, and structural discipline give him a decent path to becoming a reliable NFL quarterback in the right system.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing. He is just, I would say, the most stark different type of quarterback in this draft class. I feel like there's a lot of the Drew Aller type that have that big arm, the big body type that's going to be mobile enough to create plays and extend plays. And then there's a bunch of gunslingers and a bunch of scramblers, but I feel like he's the only pocket passer that's in this draft class right now. Somebody who's smart, willing to read a defense, see what it gives them, and just take it. My comparison that I have for him is Davis Mills. I think they're both serviceable with their feet. They can improvise a little bit if they need to, but Davis Mills is not going to beat anybody with his feet. He's not going to really escape a ton of sacks, but he's still going to be able to read a defense and deliver the ball to his playmakers into the open space and get them where they need to go. And so I think Sawyer Robinson could definitely fill in a shoe like that, where he could sit in a pocket, deliver the football to his playmakers and really good wide receivers, and it could be a very serviceable backup, just like Davis Mills has been. So yeah, I mean, you think about this year, Davis Mills. They at one point, people were hoping that he would become the starter full time for the Texans and not C.J. Stroud. I think there's been a lot of growth for Davis Mills, but I think he's definitely hit his ceiling. I think Sawyer Robinson could definitely find a path like that too, where he maybe sits around for a little bit, maybe starts his first year, then sits in the backup role for a while. It could just become a fan favorite for a lot of teams wherever he gets drafted. So
yeah, his tape was fun too, and he put up good stats last year as well. So he could be a surprise. We'll see. I do like him a lot. So
yeah. I think my ideal fit that I put for him would be the Miami Dolphins, the team that really, I think, needs to figure whatever they're doing out. They hired a new coach after they fired their GM, and they were unsure if they wanted to keep their coach. There's just a lot there where it's we don't really know what we want to do, but we need to figure it out. And so I think that would almost mimic what Davis Mills' path was with the Texans. Yeah, we're going to bring you in. We don't really know what we're doing with this coach, but you're going to come in, let you start for a year, and then you'll be our backup. And I think something like that for Sawyer Robinson, it could be really, really beneficial. Hey, get some reps early on and get some really good experience. Then you're just going to be our backup long-term. Great. I think a lot of people in Miami might actually really enjoy that. I think if you could find a way to get Sawyer Robinson more weapons in Miami, he could be really, really beneficial and efficient in a team like that. You've got the Jalen Waddle, probably not bringing back Tyreek Hill, but you got a great running back in Devin Achane, and so I think Sawyer Robinson could definitely benefit from having those types of weapons around him. Yeah. So, yeah, I like that pick or that landing spot. I think it would be a good way for him to get a lot of reps in to start and still have some good weapons around him. They would definitely need to build that offensive line, but I think it would help him in the long term grow as well. So
there you go. Nice. All right, we're going to move on to our final quarterback of the night.
Yeah, and then we got, it looks like a few questions in the comments, so we'll get to those afterwards.
Oh, nice. I didn't see those. Is Charlie Whitehurst available? No, thanks. All right. Our last quarterback, Connor Weigman, quarterback out of Houston. He is my quarterback 10. Did you have him ranked?
I had him 14, so a little bit lower than you.
That's
but
cool.
Yeah.
Close. Connor Weigman, he's a modern mobile pocket passer with a lively arm and a natural off-script ability. His 6'3", 215-ish pounds. He's got the prototypical frame for today's hybrid systems. That blends spread concepts with play action and movement. He arrived at Texas A&M as a highly touted recruit. flashy early, signs of, high end talent before injuries and instability, around the program slowed his development for sure. He transferred over to Houston, and I think that gave him a fresh start in a system more aligned with his strengths. Better tempo, movement, vertical aggression as well. Coaches consistently praise his toughness. He's very smart. He's got a high football IQ, and the ability to create when plays break down. He plays with confidence and aggression, attacking, intermediate deep routes, anything with the willingness to challenge tight coverage. His arm strength allows him to drive the ball outside the numbers, throw with velocity on the move, and generate torque from awkward positions as well. I think that one of his biggest parts is his off-script ability, biggest parts of his game. It enables him to extend plays and create explosive plays as well, a lot of big plays. He moves actively inside the pocket. He can drift unnecessarily, which can create pressure on himself. But with that, his base will widen, and his sequency can become rushed, leading to inconsistent placement. But when he is balanced, he throws a clean, accurate ball. His reset ability is strong, allowing him to regain rhythm after movement. I think his arm is one of the liveliest in this second tier here. I think he can generate impressive velocity, layer throws over underneath defenders, and attack vertical windows with ease. He's got a strong arm. His off-platform ability is a defining trait, allowing him to deliver accurate passes from those unconventional angles, as I've talked about before. I think he's a functional athlete with real acceleration, real agility. He can escape pressure, extend plays, punish defenders that can lose containment. While not necessarily a true dual threat quarterback, he brings enough ability to stress defenses horizontally from the first play. I think he projects as a high upside developmental starter. His arm talent, mobility, and competitive temperament give him the tools to become a long-term NFL quarterback. He's going to need continued refinement and mechanics, and his timing and progression discipline will determine how quickly he reaches his ceiling. But he's got a strong arm. If some coach can get a hold of him, he might be a diamond in the rough. So
yeah, I agree. He could be a diamond in the rough. I think you definitely hit the nail on the head when it comes to development of progression reading. I think sometimes, and I would put Connor in this category of gunslinger, where it's like, okay, I don't have time to get to my next read, so I'm just going to try and fit the ball into this tiny
window. Yep.
And sometimes he does, which is amazing. But yeah, he does have a quick release, a very lively arm. He is a good leader too. I think there's been a lot of good stories about him in his time at Houston, just being a really, really great leader and a great teammate. But I think he definitely fits in that gunslinger type of mentality. My comp that I gave him was Michael Pratt from a few years ago. I think he's a little bit more athletic and a little bit more of a lively arm. But I think that leadership style, quick release, gunslinger mentality definitely fits with that category. I think an ideal landing spot for him would be somewhere where he's not going to start right away, can really back up a seasoned successful quarterback who's been around for a couple of years, but maybe hasn't won a lot, but has a good contract and support system around him, and maybe could become the starter in a couple of years if that quarterback still doesn't win anything. And so my ideal landing spot for him was the Dallas Cowboys. I think if he could sit behind somebody like a Dak Prescott, really learn from him and how to hone in on reading defenses, reading progressions, I think that could be really, really beneficial for him. He's got that lively arm. He's got that that ability to just try and fit the ball in and just be like, no, I'm going to do this. The stubbornness maybe is a good word, but I think if he can get behind somebody like a Dak Prescott that can teach him like, hey, here's how you read a progression, or here's how you read these disguises that the defenses will have, I think that could really help him take his game to the next level. So
there you go. Yeah, I had to Google who Michael Pratt was because I was like, who the hell is that guy? Completely forgot about Michael Pratt. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That was our quarterbacks. We are done with the quarterback class. We did 2 weeks. If you want to revisit our last week, like I said, we did 6 of our top ones, and this was 6 more.
Yeah.
Real quick,
we have a question. Is that what you're going to do? The question from Twitter.
No, let's do it. All right, Terry Holmes. Who do you think will be the biggest riser at QB from the combine? I have my answer, and that is Taylon Green, quarterback from Arkansas.
Okay.
I mean, he is so fast.
Hmm.
So fast. I mean, he's a size speed outlier. We covered him last week, so definitely go check out our episode from last week. But I mean, he's a size speed outlier who brings real juice, and as a runner and a passer. As a runner, he accelerates quickly for his size, eats up ground with long strides, can turn broken plays into chunk gains. As a passer, he's got a very, very strong arm, capable of attacking all three levels. His deep ball has real velocity and trajectory, and he can generate power even when throwing off platform. This dude, he's super fast. I think he's going to be probably not only the quarterback darling, but maybe one of the top darlings in the combine in general. And I feel like a lot of fan bases are going to be licking their chops after they see him, just what he does in the combine.
So I don't know how to take this question, and I feel like I want to take it one of two ways.
Okay.
One, like the player that I like personally that I think will rise based off of his talent and skill and progression, which would be like a Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's going to show that he does have a lively arm. He's able to read a defense. He's able to show his quarterback IQ. I think that will be really beneficial for him throughout this whole process in the combine. But I think the other answer is like, what will NFL teams fall in love with? And I think that's going to be somebody like a Ty Simpson, who I don't think will necessarily be that great of a quarterback in the NFL level, but I think some NFL teams will definitely fall in love with him based off of how he's going to test and score at the combine. And so I took that two different routes, but I think there could be a path for both of those. So.
Interesting. And then once again, Raul will ask, is Charlie Whitehurst available? Yes, he is, Raul. Call him up. Get him in here. He is not in the NFL, so there you go. Thanks for those questions, guys. Raul, appreciate it. Terry as well. Thank you very much. I'm going to jump into some ads real quick. Once again, we're brought to you by the Inside Edge Network at Inside Edge Net. Also, Alley Rose Fragrances. Our network sponsor for the Inside Edge Network is Alley Rose Fragrances. Discover all Alley Rose collection of handcrafted candles and body mists with the clean, minimal ingredients. Every product is thoughtfully created in small batches, free from harmful toxins, for mindful everyday indulgence. Head over to alleyrosefragrances.com right now to order and use a special promo code InsideEdge20 to receive special discounts. Also, we are brought to you by Monster Moments Photography. They're a Cleveland-based husband and wife photography team who specialize in providing the best wedding photos in Northeast Ohio. Check out their website, MossorMomentsPhotography.com, MOSSOR momentsphotography.com. All right, guys, those are quarterbacks. That's going to wrap up week 2 of our quarterback breakdown here on the Commissioner's Couch Fantasy Football Podcast. If you've been with us for these first 2 episodes of season 2, you can already feel the shift, the structure, the detail, the energy, the intentionality. This isn't just another off season. This is a year where we take the show to another level. I've been stressing that since the end of last year, and I'm going to continue. This is a year where we, sharpen our identity, expand our community, build something that fantasy players, draft fans, and fantasy football junkies in general can rely on every single week. That's the goal. What we're doing here, with the rubric, the evaluations, the conversations, is all part of a bigger mission. We're not just rattling off takes or chasing headlines. We're building a system. We're building a standard. We're building a place where people can come and actually learn positions, understand traits, and see the game through a clearer lens, I would say. And the fact that so many people have jumped in these past 2 weeks, interacted and shared the show, supported what we're doing, it means so much. We had over 500 viewers last episode, almost 100 here today. Throughout the week, we'll have a couple hundred for sure because people get interested and watch it, and we're so grateful. These quarterback episodes are a grind. For us, for you, for anyone who cares about the position, but that's why we do it. Quarterback is the heartbeat of this class. It's of every class, regardless if it's a strong quarterback class. It's the heartbeat of every franchise, every fantasy roster. And if you want to understand the 2026 class, you can't just skim the surface. You got to dig. You got to compare styles. Understand archetypes and see these guys. And how they win. And over these first 2 weeks, we've already covered 12 very different passers, 12 different stories, 12 different developmental arcs, different NFL outcomes depending on where they land and how they're coached. But the best part is we're just getting started. A huge thank you to my co-host David Cahoon. Follow him at David Cahoon 24. My name is Ryan Mosser. You can follow me at Dynasty CLE. Next Thursday, we're going to shift gears in a big way. We're going to step away from the quarterbacks, and we're going to be diving into the deepest most explosive, most fascinating position groups in the entire 2026 draft, the wide receivers.
Let's go!
I'm so pumped, man. This class has size, it has speed, it has separators, ball winners, technicians, vertical threats. You name it, this class has got it. If you think the quarterback conversations were fun, wait until we start breaking down, the guys who catching the passes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Season 2's rolling. The couch is alive. The community is growing. Please like, share, subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're going to get on the other socials here, as I said earlier. We're going to get on Spotify and Apple as well. We're trying to build something special, and we can't do it without you guys as well. We need to do this together. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for being a part of this journey. We're incredibly grateful. We will see you next Thursday, 7 o'clock, when we talk about our top 6 wide receivers. Thank you guys so much.